Water leaks were recorded in 31 hotel rooms below the sanitary facilities. During the investigation, we checked 14 possible causes. We found many defects, but which cause was the primary one? At first glance, these are ordinary sanitary facilities: floor tiles, drains, and pipes. However, water leakage marks kept appearing on the lower floors. So it was necessary not only to identify the defects, but also to determine which of these defects caused the water leakage. The first version, too small an area of wall waterproofing. In the construction photos, it was visible that by the shower, the waterproofing was not installed to the full height of the wall in all places. Because of this, certain parts of the wall could have been less protected from water splashes, but this circumstance could not explain the scale of such a leak. The second version, the floor waterproofing might not have been extended high enough up the walls. In that case, water accumulated on the floor could seep into the wall structures, but construction photos showed that the waterproofing was extended sufficiently high up the walls. We did not identify this defect. The third version was obvious during the very first inspection. In many places, the joints were cracked or not completely filled. A knife blade could fit into some of the gaps. The tile covering and its joints are the first waterproofing barrier. Water can get under the tiles through leaky joints. When removing the tiles, it turned out that the adhesive layer was damp. The cement layer was also damp. The mineral wool found by the drain was so wet that water appeared when it was pressed. However, this should not yet cause leakage into the room below. The water should be contained by the second main barrier, which is the brush-applied waterproofing installed under the tiles. So defects in the joints could have contributed to the leakage, but only if the waterproofing itself was also not watertight. The fourth version, leaky connections around pipes and sanitary equipment. In some places, sealant was missing. In others, it was cracked. Water could also have gotten under the tiles through these areas, but the same principle applied here as well. The waterproofing should not have let it pass downward. The fifth version was more serious: leaky sewage pipes. The pipes are below the waterproofing, so this protection would not stop leaks from them. The construction photos showed signs of previous moisture, but it is unlikely that so many individual pipe connections would have remained leaky and caused recurring leaks of this scale. The sixth version, flow slope. In the shower area, water should flow towards the drains, but in other parts of the floor, there was no slope, and in some places, the water even flowed in the opposite direction towards the walls. Because of this, water stayed on the floor longer and seeped into the seams. This increased the load on all the leaky areas, but it still didn't explain the water leakage through the waterproofing on its own. This is the seventh version. One edge of the gutter moved when pressed by hand. The cement layer next to it moved along with it. During dismantling, it was determined that there is no solid base on the part of the gutter. A void was left behind. Such movement could have caused the seams along the drain to split. In the exposed area, we hadn't yet seen a clear crack in the waterproofing next to the drain, so this was an important but not yet definitive cause. The eighth version emerged while dismantling deeper. The mixture of polystyrene beads and binders used for the floor base crumbled easily in the hands. We did not perform a separate strength test, but such a layer must be strong enough to support the flooring above it. If it settles unevenly, the tile grout may crack. This could have already explained some of the cracks, but we still didn't know where exactly the water had breached the main waterproofing barrier. The ninth version is improperly installed waterproofing cuffs around the pipes. There were ambiguities in the documents and provided photos regarding whether all the alignment systems were used and whether the cuffs were installed properly. We did not dismantle the wall tiles, so we could not verify this directly. Such defects could cause localized leaks, but they could not cause a leak of this magnitude. The 10th version is a waterproofing layer that is too thin or an insufficient number of layers. Such waterproofing usually requires at least 2 layers and a specified dry layer thickness. In the construction photos, some areas looked lighter, and the documents did not show the number of layers everywhere. It was no longer possible to measure the actual thickness. The 11th version. Reinforcement strips were improperly installed in the corners or not installed at all in some places. Corners are sensitive areas because different planes meet there and deformations are possible. In one area that was opened up for us, the tape was present, but in other construction photos, there were visible bubbles and unevenness, and in the work documents, their installation was not recorded everywhere. The 12th version, improperly prepared base. Before applying waterproofing, it must be smooth, solid, clean, and primed with the appropriate material. In the photos, bumps, pits, and unevenness were visible under the waterproofing. Priming was also not properly documented in the records. In such places, the waterproofing may adhere poorly, become thinner, or be damaged. The 13th version, the waterproofing could have been damaged after it was installed. Construction photos showed that people were walking on it and tools and materials were being stored there. In some places, the slab was drilled from below and sanitary equipment was fastened through the floor structure. Even a small hole, later hidden under tiles, can become a pathway for water. So we examined 13 possible causes of water leakage. Some of them were not confirmed. Some could have contributed to the water leakage. Others could have been independent causes of water leakage. However, the most vital evidence was still missing. That is, the location where the water crossed the waterproofing barrier was not identified. The 14th version. Connecting the gutter to the waterproofing. The gutter body is made of plastic. Liquid waterproofing is not designed to bond reliably with such a surface, so a special self-adhesive butyl tape must be installed between the plastic gutter and the waterproofing. It forms a rigid transition. After uncovering the assembly, we determined two things. First, there was no butyl tape at all. Second, the reinforcement fabric covers only a part of the gutter flanges. This means that the waterproofing was not reliably and tightly connected to the plastic gutter. Through this connection, water could have entered directly into the floor structure. It was this specific error that was identified during the investigation as the primary cause of the leakage. This does not mean that other defects were unimportant, but the main cause was the location where water could pass through the waterproofing barrier. In this study, there were 31 locations that leaked water. We examined 14 potential causes and identified one primary reason for the water leakage. We see the defect, we identify the cause,